So lastly, an interesting quote that I enjoy. The way to own markets is to own market-dominant brands. We built organically Dummies. We acquired Cliff Notes. We just bought Firmers.com, a very premier travel site and a great travel book line. We bought Webster's New World Dictionary, J.K. Lasser Tax Guide. So what we're doing is aggregating the knowledge-branded space to become a how-to hub and do it not only in the physical world, but do it in a 24/7 environment. So we've got a lot to go. We've certainly learned a lot along the way. And what I want to share with you as a lasting remark is that look for the people in your organization, the people that you're hiring, that may have that burning desire, that may have that point to prove, that have an idea that might be left of center, unconventional, contrarian, but they got that insatiable thirst, that desire, that intellectual curiosity. And if they buy into what you're trying to afford, and if you take a risk to bring these people into your organization, even though they may be a little bit of a bull in the china shop and they may have this kind of relentless desire to just kick butt. Can I say that? I guess I just did. That's the people that I want to play with. That's the winning formula. And so thanks for your time, and hopefully you'll remember that dummies do rule. And if you want any Dummies books, I have some here. And if you send me an email, I'll be happy to send you a gift for being late. So thank you. If there's any questions, I can do it informally, or we can do it now. Your choice. It's been a long day, I'm sure, but it's up to you.
If you repeat it so we can get it on tape, that would be great.
Hard to see with the lights. If there's no questions, I'm sure there's cocktails in the back. You'd be happy to enjoy them. Yes. The question is, we've had 400 plus titles. Certainly there must be some failures, and what were some of the characteristics or lessons learned about those failures? We did, Microsoft approached us after I was in the New York Times with Dr. Ruth launching Sex for Dummies, and they said, you know, we're really good at marketing to the pinnacle of the pyramid. We're really not good at marketing to the base of the pyramid, the mass consumer. So let's join forces, let's co-brand. We did MS-DOS 6.2 upgrade for Dummies. Well, little did I know. Now, we made money. Okay, so from a pure metric point of view, negotiating with Microsoft ain't easy. We did the contract in 6 weeks. We were to market in 90 days, and that was from ground zero. But we had this kind of Jekyll and Hyde. We had this customer that said, you're the independent voice. You're the person I trust to tell me when Microsoft doesn't expose a bug, doesn't document its undocumented features. And now we've got Microsoft and Dummies together. And so there was this kind of bifurcation, this Jekyll and Hyde perspective. So from a pure economic standpoint, we made money. From a sustainability, we didn't make money. 6.2 was a dog. It was a bug fix upgrade, so that didn't help. We also had this kind of, you know, I like Microsoft as a company, and in my mind, they're not the evil empire. But in our customer's mind, they're the people driving me nuts, okay? And that didn't work. Everyday Math for Dummies. It sells evergreen, backlists, does about 35,000 copies. That would be huge for any other competitor. For us, it just doesn't hit the pinnacle that we would like to see. We've done Puccini for Dummies. You know, sometimes a little bit too narrow, opera. And so, you know, you do those experiments, and sometimes you have to produce a brand extension to see if there's a market. So some of the lessons is don't be real central to your brand identity, which is who are you and who are you not, and partner carefully. So we've never partnered with Microsoft. They wanted to take our Dummies character and replace the wizard with the Dummies character. And whenever you give up your brand, that means the new entity could indeed take your brand equity and be perceived to be the creator of that brand. You'd be very careful. So we've been fortunate to say we've had some pretty good successes, but we've had some lessons learned with how we define and live with partnerships. In the back. The question is, you have this whole suite of products. Did you build the brand first? I also believe, in one of my lessons learned is, you know, part of success is stumbling through it. You know, success without a strategy. We have an author on Fitness for Dummies, Buns of Steel. Anyone here? Buns of Steel video series. It was a trainer that went in and said, "What would you like to accomplish?" And this woman said, "You know what? I just had a baby, and I really want to, you know, firm up, tighten up. I want to kind of get back in shape. You know, I want Buns of Steel." She quit the company. $88 million later, Buns of Steel was launched, right out of the mouth of a prospect. So no, I did know that DOS for Dummies was much more than just a point product. DOS for Dummies was a point product, and that was the one title wonder. And I do believe you can launch companies and launch brands by small, scalable steps. But everything else came from our customers. Personal finance came from readers of Quicken for Dummies. Sex for Dummies came out of the incredulous, you're not going to do sex for dummies. Good idea. You know, we've not done travel yet, but we will do travel, and we'll do it in a very aggressive way because we want the right authoritative voice. So the brand came into play after the first product. PCs for Dummies and Macs for Dummies. You know, is DOS for Dummies alliterative and that's the success? Is Macs for meatheads the alliteration? Is that success? And was no. The brand came in our second and third extension. We knew we had repeat buyers. We knew we had brand preference. The holy grail of branding is not brand identity. It's brand preference, to be the preferred brand, to be the first choice when someone thinks about buying. So it evolved. I'm not going to kid you to say we had this tremendous scheme. We had our brand, logo, guidelines, and everything was pretty and tied up, and we just executed. We stumbled through. We listened. We made some mistakes. We weren't fast enough. But at the end of the day, it was all about serving that customer need through some really interesting, fast-paced, you know, let's give you what you want. Tell us what you want. Question in the front. Right. Great question is, how do you do research now on what the needs of your Dummies audience or prospects might be? We now are doing and building in a research methodology into everything that we do, not only in the U.S., but as I mentioned, the UK and Canada. We're encouraging our partners with our new JVs in Australia, the UK, Tokyo, to really focus on how do we look at the right humor in each market. And we do that through focus groups. We do that through, now we're doing it increasingly online, because there's a real cost-effective, timely way to come online and say, would you like to join the Dummies Club, the Dummies Wine Club, the Dummies Golf Club, and this is all in the works, so that you won't find it today. And the notion is we're going to listen and do real-time email back and forth. We're going to continue to do focus groups, and we're going to continue to use our staff. We have 650 people now throughout the United States and around the world to continue to stay close and listen and come back and say, hey, what about foreign languages for Dummies? We just did a deal with Berlitz. Travel. We've got to be able to do travel, couple shopping, and we wanted to be able to do it online. So when you're going to travel, so our employees help us, our strategic partners help. We do qualitative research now, and that's all been part of our success. We didn't have the money to do research in the early days, so we did it on gut, intuitive feel. Yes, question? The question is Dummies such a brand that could be the master brand and everything becomes a sub-brand underneath that, whether it be Cliff Notes or Fromers.com or J.K. Lass or Webster's New World Dictionary? My contention is no. My contention is that, you know, knowledge for life is really what we offer. Lifelong learning. We touch every part of your desire to know. We do it in print historically, now we're going to do it in print and online. I believe the latest issue of The Economist talked about how business models are going to evolve. And internet pure plays are going to be successful, and there'll be winners and losers, but those companies that have a diversified revenue stream that are in the physical world. I've got foot traffic and mind share in Walmart, Target, Harvard Coop, Stanford, Staples, CompUSA, Barnes & Noble, Borders, elementary high schools, and I've got tremendous amount to take a customer acquisition model through that print experience and bring them right onto my website as a value added, as a free with purchase. So that's going to be really important. But no, I believe there's another name, another corporate identity that's going to be able to better convey this knowledge for life, lifelong learning, whereby that's the portfolio value. And the sub-brands underneath that, where Dummies is an anchor brand, but it's not going to be defining solely who we are in the marketplace. Yes, question. Right, great question, which is, how do you write and develop the manuscript so that it's not so technical and emulates what we're trying to stand against, which is not dry, formulaic, and somewhat biased or incomplete, but very much fun and easy. We have 50% of our staff is dedicated to product development, and we really focus hard on, when we sit down with Gary McCord, I can guarantee you, or Thomas Hoving, after that experience, they thank us. I didn't realize, you know, Gary said, first of all, when we did Golf for Dummies, we had all editors and said, okay, who's played golf? Raise your hand. Who hasn't played golf? 3 people. We picked an editor who had never played golf before in her life, just happened to be a woman, and when Gary said, tee it up, she said, huh? So the notion is, assume no experience. We absolutely are religious in working with these celebrities and authorities and say, now let's back up, okay? Wine. You know, we sometimes use other authors that have a great feel, and we can enlist them to come in. So we had David Pogue, author of Macs for Dummies, come in to New York, and when the Wine for Dummies author said legs, he said, what? Bouquet. Not going to cut it. Let's back up. Let's start from the beginning. So it's a fairly intense, fairly rigorous, fairly collaborative, very much driven by us. We're the brand. We architected the brand, and we're going to align ourselves with the right talent. And really, reader feedback, our own rigorous standards. It's a tough challenge. That's why Brands are hard to knock off. You've got the Idiot's Guides, and you have all these other companies, No Fear, Fear No More, non-nerds, smarties, but they don't get branding, okay? You can't teach branding. You can't knock off a brand. You can create a product, and you might generate some revenue. We've got this really interesting ability to combine humor, cartoons, graphics, visual design. It's a reference, so you don't have to read it sequentially. You can go right to the problem. What we're about is solving problems. We want to be the how-to hub to solve problems. So our whole philosophy should be, how do we take our head and put it in the mind of the reader and say, you're now booting up Windows NT and installing it. What would you go through, and what would the process be like?
One more question?
One more question. I'm getting the hook. If it's a technical book, the question is, do we have any focus groups or test groups? We have our team. Some of our editors have been with us 8 years. We have technical editors that come on board. We'll have outsourced freelance people that have been with us for years that work with us. We don't do focus groups in the sense of that they read a sample chapter in a manuscript. We've got our brand pretty well defined and pretty well intrinsic to what we do as a company, that is pretty self-evident, that the tone, the level, the approach is over the head, it's too professorial, it's too academic. So thank you very much, and I appreciate your time. And I have a gift for you up here, too.